this is Matthew from Not a Surf, and you're watching Impact Media on the screen in front of you right now.
Oh my, who's that child?
My name is Matthew Rarson Caws. I play guitar and sing in a band called Not a Surf from New York. Originally, this band was formed after a much more ambitious band had broken up, and we were doing this for fun. We didn't want a name, and Daniel, our bass player, said, let's just be nada, like nothing, like no name. But that was taken already. So I just added a word just because it felt to me like, you know, surfing in space or floating in the middle of nowhere is how I feel in relation to music. When I listen to it, when I play it, I feel very far away in a very peaceful place. Now, I'm glad we have the name we have because it's kind of memorable. I'm sorry we have it because it also sounds so Californian, which I didn't realize. It didn't occur to me that it was like surfer speak, dude. So a lot of people think we're from California when we are in fact not. I think the people who had a wrong impression of us have had enough time now to either forget and move on or see what we're actually like. You know, we can not play it and someone's disappointed, but very often if we do play it, there'll be a couple of the kids who are like, oh man, why are you wasting these 3 minutes? I really want to hear this other song, you know. So, you know, we don't care, but we actually get a lot of questions about it, and there are a lot of like, does it really bother you that so many people only know you by that one song? And I think, well, no, they wouldn't know us if it weren't for that song. If somebody just knows us for that song, it's like, that's another fish in the lake that we might catch next time, you know? So it's all good. It's called The Stars Are Indifferent to Astronomy. That is an expression of my father's. He's a philosophy professor. This is sort of the long form of it, is he says something like, a bird doesn't know, we call it a bird. A dog doesn't know, we call it a dog. And the planets and stars don't know that we gave them names, and it really doesn't matter to them. And it just was really appealing to me on a lot of levels. You know, if space travel became a lot simpler and you were floating in front of Jupiter or something, I think it might hit you that it's not really Jupiter, it's this giant planet, and we on that little planet over there happen to have named it after a god that we imagined. The title appealed to me with regards to that because it's like global warming is indifferent to your belief in it or not. And those who somehow have convinced themselves that we have no part in it, or worse yet, that it's not happening at all, aren't going to be saved by that belief when things get weird, as they already are, clearly, with all these extreme weather events doubling in the last 20 years. I don't know exactly what the statistic is, but it's pretty scary.
It always feels like I'm waiting for something. It always feels like I'm waiting for something. It always feels like I'm waiting for something. It always feels like I'm waiting. It always feels like I'm waiting for something.
Well, I got a bunch of songs for you. This first one is the first song on the Stars Are Indifferent to Astronomy. It's called Clear Eye, Cloud of Mind. It's short, it's fast, it's a little different from the last few records, mostly in that we were totally prepared. The last 2 or 3 records, we finished a lot of the songs in the studio, and that's not really by design, it's just the way it happened. I hadn't written fast enough. We couldn't put off the recording schedule anymore. And that's been a good experience, writing in the studio, but it's very stressful. It's very exciting, it's very stressful, it's very expensive. And when we did If I Had a Hi-Fi, this covers record, songs were already written, magically. I noticed while we were making that record, it sounded more like we do live because we really knew what we were doing. So it could just get lost in playing it rather than thinking, okay, is this 1 chorus or 2 choruses? How long is the outro? You know, still writing. The title also makes me think about the humility that we should have in front of nature. I mean, I think a lot of people probably do try to remain relevant in specific ways, but I wouldn't know how. And if I tried, I don't think it would work. You know, like some people are really good at writing hits, and if I tried on purpose, I mean, Elton John can do it, and he's great. But if I really tried to write a hit, I don't think it would be any better, and it would likely be worse than songs I write when I'm not thinking about that. We were friends to begin with, And even though early on we had a little music business hiccup, I sent cassettes to Matador, Touch and Go, Merge, like all the labels I loved, in about 1994 and didn't get an answer from any of them. And I don't blame them, we had nothing going on. But so besides that hiccup at the beginning, we've actually had a pretty smooth ride. And longevity has just had to do with having a really kind and loyal audience. So even when things weren't going that well, the shows were always a good time and always rewarding. So it's just, we never wanted to stop. And if we did stop, I'd have had to get a career, like go to grad school and get serious. Not that it's a bad thing. In fact, I miss school in a way. But none of us wanted to let go of this particular dream.
And all that we think we know.
We've had funny things. You know, we were playing in Atlanta, Georgia, maybe 12 years ago, and Daniel, our bass player, went into the backstage to get something, and right as he left, a person crashed down through the ceiling. And it was a guy who didn't have a ticket who was trying to get in, and who'd snuck in through the, it was a drunk Swiss person who'd snuck in through the air conditioner duct and then fell through the ceiling. That was funny. He wasn't hurt, so it was funny.
Did you let him stay?
Yeah, totally. Of course, hey, A for effort, you know, come on.
Stars are indifferent to astronomy. And